Hello and welcome to Liverpool.com's Blood Red Morning Bulletin. I'm joined by my fellow Liverpool.com writer Andrew Beasley to talk about something we don't really want to talk about, but we're going to do it anyway, the Premier League title race. What we expected happened last night, essentially, didn't it, Andrew?
Yeah, I think this could be a very short video, to be honest. Yeah, we were obviously hoping for a favour from Wolves, and then Kevin De Bruyne casually scores 4 goals, as you do, and Manchester City won at a canter, as they tend to. I think I read they're the first team to win 5 straight league games, all by at least 3 goals. So, despite what happened in Madrid, they don't look remotely close to having any kind of slip up in the league. And so it proved last night. They sort of swept Wolves aside. And it's hard not to see them doing the same in their remaining fixtures against West Ham and Aston Villa, unfortunately.
Yeah, that's exactly the point. You don't really see them dropping points at this stage of the season with only the Premier League title to play for, really.
Well, that's it. Yeah. Even if they were in the Champions League final, I mean, it is obviously a distraction of sorts, but it's after the end of the season. It's not like Liverpool playing the FA Cup final tomorrow and having to squeeze in an extra game in midweek and all these sorts of things, So yeah, they have no distractions. They have some injuries at the back. Obviously we were thinking maybe that would give some teams a chance at sort of getting at them a bit more. They don't have a great record of recovering points when they go behind. I'd sort of give anything for someone to even take the lead against them might make things a bit interesting. But at the moment, I don't watch their games because I think better use of my time not watching them. But obviously keep an eye on the score, and more or less every time there's only about 10 minutes gone and they're 1-0 up. And it would be interesting if someone could score first against them. I mean, not impossible. West Ham could do that, but the way they're playing, even if they did, you'd have to think they would come back against 2 teams who don't have a great deal to play for. West Ham hoping for European qualification, but even though that's the case, their squad looks pretty tired because they've got a small squad after their exertions in the Europa League. So, no, you would think that it's going to be no chance of City dropping any points now.
Well, to play devil's advocate, it is going to be Mark Noble's final game at West Ham's home stadium. So potentially there's an incentive there. And, I think from West Ham's perspective, they will want to play in the Europa League, not in the Europa Conference League. So they will need, I think, 3 points or potentially a point at least to get them over the line for that. So, maybe potentially West Ham is a team that caused Liverpool problems, of course, in the same stadium earlier this season. So maybe there's a potential for an upset if we try to be optimistic.
Yeah, I mean, it's not beyond the realms of possibility, certainly. I mean, as you say, West Ham have beaten Liverpool at home. They've beaten Chelsea at home. I'm pretty sure they beat Tottenham. Was it this season Mark Noble came off the bench in the last minute to take a penalty and missed? So perhaps
Yes.
his redemption story will be to take a penalty and win against Man City. That'd be pretty good, wouldn't it? So, yeah, I mean, it's not impossible, but it's not like City are playing badly or even playing sort of averagely. They're playing incredibly well. As much as they went out to Madrid, they clearly should have won that tie. They should have battered them at home. They did more than enough away. They're not playing badly as much as they're, as much as they went out of the tie. And the thing is, people think, oh, well, Liverpool have cut down the gap since sort of Christmas time. And obviously they have, but City haven't done that badly in that time at all. It's just that Liverpool have won virtually every game. I think it's only 3 draws and no defeats since that Leicester game after Christmas for Liverpool. So it's not even that City have played badly really at any point this year. Liverpool blew them away in the first half of the FA Cup semi-final. But other than that, I would imagine on the stats probably deserve to win pretty much every game, even when they drew at Palace. They had so many chances. I guess the Tottenham game is one, but I mean, if there's only one game in half a season you deserve to lose, then you're going to be very hard to stop. So, Liverpool deserve tremendous credit for fighting back in the way they have. But really, if Liverpool don't win the league, as looks likely, it's not so much the draw with Tottenham or whatever happens in the next 2 games. Obviously, it's when they were dropping points in the autumn when they weren't quite at their best. But if Liverpool look likely to finish with 90 plus points and would have won the league countless times in the Premier League era, but Man City are just a bit too good, unfortunately.
Yeah, and of course, if Liverpool are to somehow win it, it won't just depend on City now and their results, but also the big goal difference that City have put in front of themselves and in their advantage. Liverpool will now need to score a lot of goals if they are to do it.
Yeah, well, I was thinking about that yesterday. It's sort of starting to get shades of the Crystal Palace game in 2013-14, because obviously Liverpool raced into a 3-0 lead and it was sort of playing like they wanted to score 10 or whatever it was to reel in the goal difference for Manchester City. And we're sort of reaching that point now. I think City have got a 7-goal advantage. Now, for it to become a thing, they'd need to lose at West Ham, as we've said.
Yeah. Whilst
that's not impossible, you can't imagine them losing sort of 4-0 or anything like that. They might lose by 1 at a push, but they're not going to, their goal difference advantage isn't going to shrink rapidly. So if they were to lose at West Ham, it would obviously make things interesting because, as we know, 2 things really. Southampton aren't on a good run, and Southampton have had 9-0 defeats, more than 2 9-0 defeats in the sort of relatively recent past. So, I think that's unlikely. With everything that Liverpool have done, the problem with quadruple bids is that you have to play a heck of a lot of games, and Liverpool are at that point now. You can see it when they play. They're not quite at their best. Teams often aren't at this sort of time of the season. But I think Liverpool winning 9-0 is probably going to be a bit too much of an ask, particularly if the cup final goes to sort of extra time and penalties, which certainly couldn't be ruled out when you look at how the games with Chelsea have gone this season. That it be another draw possibly. But as we say, Southampton have had some very heavy defeats in the past. Chelsea won their 6-0 not so long ago. I mean, Liverpool are good enough. It's not inconceivable Liverpool could win 6-0. I mean, certainly if West Ham were to beat Manchester City this weekend, that would fire Liverpool up in the thing of we've still got a chance. But I think it'll be interesting to see if you assume that Manchester City beat West Ham comfortably and have a 6-point advantage and a sizable goal difference advantage. Does Klopp then actually rest most of the team for Southampton and take the pragmatic view that it's better to give them a breather before the Champions League final? Obviously, Real Madrid, having wrapped up the title in Spain, are able to rotate their squad. So whilst I don't want Manchester City to beat West Ham heavily, if they did, mightn't be the worst thing for Liverpool in the long term when it's hugely unlikely they're going to win the league anyway. But sort of getting ahead of ourselves there. Let's just let West Ham win and then we can worry about resting the team or whatever after that.
Yeah, but I suppose, on the bright side, that is the thing for Liverpool, that even if they miss out on the Premier League title, that's not their only hope for more silverware this season. There's still an FA Cup final to look forward to this weekend and then the Champions League final as well. So it's not going to be a bad season for Liverpool by any stretch of the imagination, is it?
No, I think whatever happens from here, it's been a very good season. I mean, clearly, if they only finish with the League Cup, it will be disappointing with how far they've come. But just because it's disappointing doesn't mean that it's been a bad season by any means. I mean, I was looking at it last weekend after the Tottenham draw. It's only twice this season that Liverpool have gone more than a week without a win. Playing from August to May, end of May, and only twice having 2 weeks where they didn't win a game. And one of those had to draw with Benfica. So they still qualified for the Champions League semi-finals in a week when they didn't win. So, if that's your season, then it's still an incredible season. And, there will obviously be talk from rival fans about sort of bottling it and all this rubbish. But, they're just jealous of the fact that Liverpool will have won more games than they've ever won in a season in their history. Even if they don't win another game this season, that will be the case. So, I mean, yeah, it's still been an incredible season, whatever happens from here. But I am confident that they can win the 2 cup finals. They are better than Chelsea. They are better than Real Madrid. I just think, I think with what's gone on the last sort of week, I think probably the league is out of reach now, unfortunately.
Yeah, well, we'll keep our fingers crossed, but certainly for the Champions League and the FA Cup final and the Premier League as well. But the main thing is it's exciting times still ahead for Liverpool these last couple of weeks until the end of the season. Thanks, Andrew, for joining me. Thanks, everyone, for tuning in. And make sure to check out the rest of the Blood Red content going out today and all the written content on liverpool.com.